such a silly Billy. Cover me in sunshine, cover me in good times. Don't you know the world's been spinning since the beginning, and everything will be alright. I got my vaccine, I got my vaccine, I got my vaccine, I got my vaccine. I can't believe it. Y'all, I got my vaccine. I got the first dose of the Moderna vaccine, and you're gonna hear about it. You're gonna hear about my Moderna meltdown and all the things that ensued. I'm gonna give you a kind of a vlog style on my reactogenicity, meaning the symptoms that I got after getting my first COVID shot. And that's really called reactogenicity because it's actually what your body is supposed to do in order to mount up, to be the immune system to be activated by the vaccine, to mount up the immune system to build your immunity to COVID. So that's what's called reactogenicity. So when you get all the, you know, the flu-like symptoms, basically they're basically COVID-like symptoms, except most people don't get the breathlessness, and then it resolves within 24 hours to 48 hours. So I'm gonna give you a running kind of diary vlog about it along, you know, so that's what this is all about. Also, I want it to be related to the fact that I have a precondition. I have an autoimmune disorder, chronic pericarditis, and I'm immunosuppressed because I'm on immunosuppressants. I want to give that side of the story for anybody else that may be taking the vaccine or going to be taking the vaccine that also has their system immunocompromised, immunosuppressed, whether it is through an autoimmune disorder or whether it is through transplant, things like that. For me, it's chronic pericarditis, which is an inflammation of the heart lining, so it has to do with the heart. So it would not be good for me to get COVID. That could kill me, which, you know, there is a mortality rate for COVID and can be quite a morbidity rate for COVID. And in my case, it would not be so good if I got it because, you know, there's COVID, the spike protein receptors in a lot of areas of your body besides your lungs, and one of them is your heart, so it could go there and muck up your heart and give you myocarditis, pericarditis, and I already got that. I don't need any more. It would not be very good. So this is what it's going to be about. And also, I tend to be a canary in a coal mine. I tend to be sensitive. I can't even drink coffee. I actually was watching somebody else who got the Moderna vaccine, and now she had an extreme reaction. She had the normal, you know, the normal chills and fever and things like that, but it went extreme, and she ended up with a very, very high fever and delirium as a result of it, and it was not good. And she even said she was a little bit nervous because she tends to be sensitive to medications. She can't even drink coffee because of it. That's how sensitive her body is. So she was describing me. So that is why I was a little nervous about taking the vaccine, though I believe in vaccines. And it's only because I tend to be a canary in a coal mine, so I tend to be more reactive than others. However, when you have an autoimmune disorder where you're taking an immune suppressants, and in my case, I am on prednisone, which is a very known immune suppressant. I'm also on colchicine, that lowers your immune system, and I also have to take ibuprofen, which is an anti-inflammatory. I have to take that twice a day, which is contraindicated for taking the vaccine because you don't really want to be on you don't want to be lowering your immune system when you're taking a vaccine, because you want the vaccine to kick in and activate your immune response. So if your immune system is suppressed, it's not being activated the way it should be. And in particular, transplant patients are on very severe immune lowering drugs where their immune system does not get activated. So it's very imperative for them to get the vaccine and get their second dose on time. And in fact, people like me who are immune suppressed, or even the elderly, should really try and get there on time. But in Ontario, where I live, because we were having such a vaccine shortage and there was a delay in getting vaccines for a good while, they decided to do delay the second dose for 4 months, and generally the delay should only be maximum 6 months if you're going to go off label, but they're doing 4 months. So it's not the greatest for people like us. So we're trying to push for them to nuance it better so that people like us can get our vaccinations on time, because we don't mount that reactogenicity. So I want to give you the perspective of somebody who is on immunosuppressants, and I did consult with my rheumatologist, and I talked about it because of my nervousness, and she said, listen, even if you're sensitive, it's better for you to get the vaccine. The risk-benefit analysis, like, it's riskier for you to get COVID than it is for you to take the vaccines. And it's with any medication that you take, there's always a risk. You have side effects, you have severe side effects, some more unusual ones that don't come across that often but can happen. I mean, it's with every medication. So vaccine is not going to be any different. The only difference is that generally with medications, it's a smaller pool of people that are getting it. And with a vaccine, it's more noticeable when that happens because it's the whole population that's getting it. So she convinced me, and of course, I just needed that kind of little hand holding. I knew I needed to get the vaccine. Everybody really needs to try and take the vaccine in order to get herd immunity and protect each other and ourselves. So I am for Team Canada. Team Canada vaccine. I got my, this is what I was wearing for my vaccine day, and so I'm wearing it today. Let's roll. On top of that, with Ontario, we are becoming variants of concern dominant, particularly the UK variant. So we're nearly at 70% positivity rate of the variants of concern, in particular the UK variant in Ontario. We are a very multicultural province, so we're getting all the different types. Actually, Canada is one of the highest of the countries that are getting the variants of concerns. We are the most ones, and in particular Ontario. So you can imagine what's going on here. And then on top of that, the positivity rate overall is at over 10%, which is not good. You don't want that, of COVID, of getting COVID. And of the positives, cases of COVID, nearly 70% is variants of concern, and in particular, the UK variant. So it is not a good thing. So this is why when I go to any store, when I do my basic errands, because we are in a stay-at-home order here, I wear my KF94 mask, which is similar to an N95 mask, and I also wear a face shield to protect my eyes and to protect the mask. So it's a kind of a double masking system, because COVID can get in your eyes, so you want your eyes protected too, especially with these variants. And I just wanted to say I believe in vaccines because we have benefited from vaccines. That is why pre-COVID, we weren't walking around in a suit filled of polio and smallpox and rubella and blah 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 and all the whooping cough and blah 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 and chicken pox and all that kind of stuff. We benefited from it, and the people younger than me, they take it for granted. They're not living in a soup of all these various plaguish type of things because of vaccines. And in fact, we don't even need to use smallpox vaccine anymore because we eradicated it from vaccines for smallpox. That's how good our vaccines worked. So I do believe in vaccines. I just want to put that addendum. So with all that to say, I wanted to show you the vlog of how I went to the vaccine center. And I wanted to say, because of the reactogenicity, and I wasn't quite sure whether I was going to have a lot of symptoms or not, but just in case I did, because Moderna tends to pack a punch. That was the other thing why I didn't want Moderna, is because I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on people's experiences with the vaccines, and apparently Moderna does pack a bit of a punch with its symptoms afterwards, more than Pfizer, especially the second dose, but possibly even the first dose. So that's why I was a little bit nervous. They both give you the same thing, but Moderna just seems to kind of go for it a little bit more. So the interesting fact is that I'm watching this wonderful woman called, who's Dr. Morgan, the prednisone pharmacist, and she was saying, because she has an autoimmune disorder and she's often on prednisone, so she knows a lot about prednisone. She was saying that she actually, doing her research, highly advises, if you can, but if you can't make a choice, get what is available, just get vaccinated, right? But if you can, for autoimmune people who are immunosuppressants, it's highly efficacious to go for the Moderna even over the Pfizer, because of the fact that Moderna packs a punch. But I forgot all about that when I got to the vaccination center and all the things that happened. So let's roll. I'm on my way. I'm going to the subway right now. I got my face mask on. I got my face shield on. It's a pink and blue day today. I always wear my face shield when I go into public places because the variants of concern are very concerning. Always a good idea to protect your eyes also, because that's another form of being able to catch the virus, is also through your eyes. If you go into any hospital, you will see them not only wear a face mask, but eye coverings also. I'm wearing a K94 mask, and here comes the subway. I'm really early. I'm about 20 minutes early. My appointment's at 2 p.m. I'm supposed to arrive 15 minutes early at 1:45, and it's 1:20 right now. So I'm sitting on this nice little bench here. Let's see whether you can see the bench, because I thought I would have to walk 1 kilometer, because when I went on the TTC, the TripAdvisor was saying that I would have to walk from the subway station, and it turns out I didn't have to, and the bus was right there, and I could catch it, and here I am. I am nervous, but we are going to do this. I'm supposedly getting the Pfizer. I'm going to take it for the team, because if we all do our part in this pandemic, we can get rid of this COVID faster and get on with our lives. So it's a team project. What is it? Team Canada. So I'm taking it for Team Canada right now. There are reasons why I don't want to get the adenovirus versions, which is the AstraZeneca and the Johnson & Johnson. Because they go into the nucleus of the cell before they unpack the spike protein coating in the cytoplasm of the cell, and I prefer not to go into the nucleus. This is just me. I tend to be a canary in a coal mine, and things affect me very easily, so I'd rather not go deep into my body structures, into the deepness of my structures. When there's variants now, and on top of that, because in Ontario, because of the lack of supply of vaccines now, but it is coming in now, but it's still not the way it is, like say in Israel and Chile and the USA. So we want to get more people vaccinated quicker. That means that with the double doses, we have to wait 4 months instead of the normal manufacturer's labeling of 3 weeks for Pfizer and 4 weeks for Moderna. And with that, we're waiting 4 months. And now we've got like 70% right now positivity of variants of concern, especially the B117 UK variant in Ontario. So it's the dominant strain. It's really affecting spreading right now, and we have a stay-at-home order. And with us only being vaccinated, with the first vaccine and having to wait 4 months, can be a recipe for escape. Like people still getting infected with one vaccine dose. We would be protected from landing in the hospital, but we're not protected enough that we won't get the virus. And that can give the opportunity for the COVID virus, especially with variants, to adapt even better and become stronger. This is my theory, and it is born by actual virology. I'm gonna be there 50 minutes early, and I'm hoping they'll let me in to go to the washroom because I don't think I can hold it in. I have arrived. There it is. That's where I'm supposed to go. And I'm too early. There was a guy on the bus that was sitting ahead of me, just like a seat away from me, and he wasn't wearing his mask, and he started coughing. So I nearly had a freak session. No, I was very quiet about it, and I just quietly moved away. Okay, I got the vaccine. Turned out it wasn't Pfizer. I got a little shock that it was Moderna, which wasn't the one I wanted. A little bit of a drama because I got a little scared because I know Moderna kicks a little bit harder punch than the Pfizer, and so there was a little bit of a drama about whether I was going to get it or not. I told you about the Moderna meltdown. I want to tell you about the Moderna meltdown and what it was like to be actually at the clinic. So when I arrived, you see the picture of the location where I was at. What I didn't see, what I showed the corner where the vaccine clinic is, was that there was a line up all the way to the side, but you didn't see it because the door actually wasn't at the corner. So when I crossed the street, I saw the whole line. Actually, it looked more intimidating than it actually was because everybody was on time. My appointment was at 2. I actually arrived too early at 1:30. A lot of people were there a little earlier. So the security guards would go down the line and ask what time our appointments are, making sure that they were bringing us in a timely manner in the right time sequence. So that was really well organized. We were 6 feet apart, except the wonderful woman in front was 6 feet ahead of me, but the wonderful woman behind me was not. And we were chatting with each other, and I was saying something about, like, because I have to go to the washroom a lot, and I'm on prednisone, so I'm going, gosh, I feel like I need to go to the washroom. So the one in front was saying, don't worry, if you have to go, ask them if you can go and I'll keep your line. It was so sweet. And then the other lady we started chatting was talking to me without the 6 feet distance, and I didn't have the guts to ask her to back up. So anyway, we were chatting away. We kind of surreptitiously pulled out my face shield on top of it, and I was wearing my KF94 mask, which is equal to a KN95, and I pulled my face shield on because she was just standing a little too close to me. So we were chatting away and everything, and it was hilarious because 10 minutes, 15 minutes into the chat, we were talking about something, and it had to do with something being too close for comfort. So I was saying, yeah, it was so close, it was so close. For some reason, she heard, she's too close to me, so she backed up the 6 feet. She says, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize it was so close. And that's not what I was saying, but I'm thinking, you know what, if that's what she interprets, it's probably a good thing because she was too close to me and I didn't know how to tell her. So anyway, when I finally got in to be registered, inside the doors there are 2 desks, one on either side of the door. It's a small space and it's glassed in, like all the frontage was glass. And so one nurse is on one desk, the other nurse is on the other desk. And so I got to one. Now my little kitty he loves to eat this. He loves string. So now I got to put it away because he's going to eat it. So anyway, so I go to the one nurse, and she was so sweet. They ask you COVID related questions. They want to be sure that you don't have COVID. So they ask you all these COVID screening questions. Okay, you fill out a form prior to going there, so all your form is all filled out. It wants my ID, blah 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 blah. At that I ask, is it Pfizer or is it Moderna? Because the man on the phone that registered me assured me, because I was registered through the hospital system because I have an autoimmune disorder, the hospital system only uses Pfizer. So he assured me, no, don't worry, it's all Pfizer, it's all Pfizer. And I didn't know that we had already started getting shipments of Moderna in. So when I got to the desk, and I was scared of getting Moderna because I know it's a harder hitting reactogenicity in your body. Pfizer is a little less kick butt, right? So I want the least because I tend to be sensitive. So when she said Moderna, I had a fit. I didn't cry there, but I'm like, no, 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 it's not Moderna, it's not Moderna. And I tried to explain it to her because I was saying, oh, I watch YouTube videos on people's experiences, blah, 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 blah. And she's going, well, how are they supposed to know the difference? Well, if one person gets the Moderna, how do they know that it's harder hitting than the Pfizer? I wasn't going to explain it to her. I said, can I cancel a rebook? She goes, well, if you want to cancel, let me go check and see whether there's any Pfizer. What a sweetie pie. She did that. She went and checked. She comes back and says, you know, honey, there's no Pfizer, there's no Pfizer. It's the Moderna. And I said, can I rebook? So she's going, sure. Do you want to speak to the doctor? We can have the doctor speak to you. And then, like, you know, we could decide, you know, you can work out with them how to rebook, blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay. And she said, okay, I'm going to sit you down. And this is where something nearly happened, okay? So she goes to sit me. Now where we were, when you get outside the entrance, there's a little hallway beyond the desk. There's this mini little hallway where there on one side is a little kind of up to the waist division, and there's a little kind of swing low, you know, up to the waist swing door, and through that swing door there's just a little seating area where the corner of the building is, and it's all glass, and there's this little seating area. There's one extra chair there, but where the seating area is, there was 3 people sitting there, 2 women and 2 young women and a young man, and they were sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I wonder why they're sitting over there. Are they going to get their vaccinations? That's kind of odd, because it's kind of a throughway. You go in one way and you go out the other, and you never see people exiting unless they are exiting through the elevator. So there was one extra chair there, and then there was a chair. There's a this mini hallway where there's the elevator, and there's a chair in front of across from the elevator, and then you continue, and then there's stairs up to where you're vaccinated. So the elevator gets people that are in wheelchairs up. She's leading me to the chair, and I'm thinking she's leading me to the one that's right by the elevator, but she was going towards, through the swing door, to where the young people were seated. And she started to lead me over there and point the way, oh, go and sit on that chair over there. And then she just decided to change her mind and said, oh, no, you know what? Why don't you just go to this chair right here by the elevator? You can sit there. Well, wouldn't you know it, I'm sitting there waiting for the doctor to come and advise me and blah, blah, blah. Another nurse she goes back to her table, and another nurse goes through the little swing door, starts speaking to the group there, sitting there. You know what she started saying to the young man? She was saying, listen, you have COVID symptoms, so you can't take your vaccination today because you're exhibiting COVID symptoms. You need to go and take a COVID test, and then when you get over your sickness, whether it's COVID or otherwise, then you can go online, rebook, and come back. And I'm like, holy freaking cow. I was nearly seated right next to them. And where I was situated, if I stood up, if I just kind of did this, I could see them, and they were about 12 feet away. So it wasn't far. So good thing I was wearing my KF94, which is equal to a KN95 mask, and I was wearing my face shield. You could almost say that I was in close contact with somebody who had COVID. So I hope the young man is doing well and he gets over it, and I hope it's not COVID for him, and then he gets over quickly and he can come back and get his vaccine. So with that, anyway, the doctor came, we discussed it. He told me that because they get their shipments in from Thursday to Thursday, he said there's no guarantee that next week it's going to be Pfizer. It could be Moderna again. They don't know, but it's either Moderna or Pfizer now, he said. So he said you can cancel and rebook, but you might end up getting Moderna again. So I was like, I didn't know what to do. I really didn't want the Moderna, so I said I would cancel. He said, okay, no problem. He said, sit here for a little while and I'll confirm to you that it was canceled. So he comes back about 7 minutes later, confirmed it was canceled. By that time I really had to go to the washroom, so I asked to go up, upstairs to go to the washroom. I was in a state. So I went into the washroom, I had a meltdown, I started crying because I was so upset because I was looking forward to getting the vaccine. I really wanted to get it, but I really didn't want to get Moderna. I really wanted to get Pfizer. My friend got Pfizer yesterday and I helped her to get Pfizer because I walked her through online booking. So I was so upset, and I thought, where am I ever going to get it again? Because then when I went on my phone, locked up in the bathroom to check to see whether I would even be able to book again, they changed the parameters and no longer was the high risk autoimmune people on the list anymore. So I wouldn't even been able to rebook. So then I called my my mother's really close friend and told her the situation. I was crying on the phone and she convinced me to go and get it because you wouldn't be able to rebook again and there's no guarantee you would even get Pfizer anyway. So I decided to set my face like a flint, dried my tears and said, Team Canada vaccination all the way, and I got out of there, went back downstairs, asked to speak to the doctor again. Thank goodness those nurses were so sweet and patient. Called back the doctor. He came in. I told him I changed my mind. He said he would see whether he could rebook for me, no problem, and they got me rebooked. In the meantime, there was a mother and grandmother who the grandmother was in a wheelchair. They got locked in the elevator, and the two sweet twin daughters were waiting outside in front, and they were standing in front of me, and everybody was in a rush trying to figure out how to fix the elevator so they could get them down. The poor girls were standing there, and then one of the nurses was starting to wipe off the seats that the COVID bunch were at. I'm just gonna say COVID bunch because it's just easier to say that. Finally, they were trying to sit the girls down at the seat, but the nurse was still, one of the nurses was still cleaning it off, and there was like no way I was gonna let those girls go over there and sit down on dirty, possibly COVID-ridden seats. So I said, no, you guys, no, just wait it out. Let the nurse clean it all off first before you go and sit down. I didn't tell them that it could possibly be contaminated. I'm not gonna, scare the kids off. So all this drama was going on, and then I got rebooked. So that worked out, and then they told me to follow the yellow lines on the floor up to the vaccination, and I felt like they were saying, follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road. You go up the stairs, and the wonderful woman there, oh my gosh, the wonderful woman there led me to a desk. I kind of like do a pseudo registration again, follow the yellow arrows again, and they told me to go to table 5, and there was the doctor and the nurse sitting there. The really nice doctor injected me, and lo and behold, 10 seconds into it, I started to see stars. Possibly because the really nice doctor injected me a little too quickly. North Americans like to inject really fast, whereas Asians tend to inject slower, so to allow for the proper perfusion of the injection into the muscle. And I think I was too sensitive with the quicker injection technique. I actually asked the doctor if she could inject it slower, but she didn't understand me and thought that I was needle averse, and it had nothing to do with that. But I didn't really want to explain. It has nothing to do with that. In fact, I kind of like looking at it when people inject. But I thought, I said, never mind. I didn't want to bother explaining it to her. So I let her do what she wanted to do. And I think that's why I got the stars. The nurse ran, the two of them were sitting at the desk, and the nurse ran around the desk to hold me on this side. The doctor held me on this side. It was a hoot because I was like seeing stars, but I wasn't like fainting or anything. Anyway, they held me there for about like 5 minutes. They wanted to be sure that I wasn't gonna faint. The stars resolved, and then they said because of my reaction, they wanted me to sit an extra 15 minutes. So I waited for 30 minutes, and I was fine. I just felt a little bit light. When I walked to the chair to be seated, I felt a little bit light, and that's pretty much it. I was fine. And then when I left, you go to this other desk at the front of the gymnasium, and they give you a care sheet, and then they give you this sheet here that tells you exactly what vaccine you got, the lot number, what else is it? It tells you a whole the dosage, intramuscular, left deltoid, and then they wrote at the bottom my next dose appointment. So for my second vaccination, which is on July the 30th at 3 p.m. I actually had to ask for this. I said, don't you guys give like a care sheet of what could be expected? And so they pulled it out and gave me this. So I got that. I didn't want to read it actually because I already know what can happen, and I know what to look for adverse reactions and everything like that. And then you walk out out, and then the wonderful gentleman that's standing at the door there leads you to the exit, and you go out that way. You don't go the way you came in, and you're out, and everything's beautiful. So that was my vaccination experience, and I will be going there again in July for my second dose. So go Team Canada, vaccination, go. And I wanted to give you this experience because I wanted people to know what it's like for somebody who has an autoimmune disorder, because I was actually concerned initially that it was unsafe. Like, I didn't know any better, so I thought, can it be unsafe to get vaccinated if you have an autoimmune disorder and you're on immunosuppressants? It's only unsafe if it is a live vaccine. Some flu vaccines are live versions, but this one is not a live vaccine. So with that, it is quite safe for people who have autoimmune disorders to receive it. But always, if you do have a serious medical condition, always consult with your doctor. For instance, I have a friend who is on really strong immune modifiers, lowering medications, so they really need both the first and second dose on time. And I spoke to my rheumatologist, and she said the same thing, that she really wanted me, like, it was much better to get it than not to get it, especially with my condition, my heart inflammatory condition. So with that, yes, I wanted to give my perspective on what it was like to get a vaccine with my condition, with my chronic pericarditis. I also wanted to let people know what it's like with the side effects, the reactogenicity of a person who has an autoimmune disorder. So stay tuned. Cover me in sunshine, cover me in good times. Don't you know the world's been spinning since the beginning, and everything will be alright.